people come into our lives and make such an impact that their memories will remain long after they have departed.
Lorna Anderson is one such individual. Born to Concealer and Alexander Anderson on November 28, 1954, Lorna led a colorful life and wore various hats until, after a relatively short illness, she walked away from the physical realm on August 24, 2023.
Here are a few significant memories of our dear Lorna.
Lorna, the mother.
Make him tan, he will learn when he's ready to learn. Lorna became a mother at a relatively young age, but it was a responsibility that she took very, very seriously.
She was fiercely protective of her children. If you knew her well, you will acknowledge that if you want to really get her cross, angry, and miserable, in the words of a prominent DJ, and if you think you're bad, you would dare to accuse one of her children.
Indeed, situations like these would most certainly lead to one of her famous proclamations, such as, "I can't stand up for another woman there."
Lorna's maternal kindness and stewardship would extend beyond her biological children to include just about any child that was placed under her care. And I assure you, there were many.
Lorna was a shrewd provider and caregiver. Despite limited resources at times, she nonetheless spared little effort and expense to ensure the comfort and well-being of her kids.
In keeping with the words and philosophy of her late mother, Miss Pansy, Lorna really knew how to cut and put.
This instinct was cultivated at the tender age of 10, when as the second child and the first girl for her mother, she had to help take care of 7 other siblings after the sudden death of her father, Miles Alec.
In short, and as she would readily and happily tell you, a long time here around house, you know.
An important feature of Lorna's maternal skills was attending to the educational well-being of her children.
Whether it was Ricky getting into online school, supporting plans for Omar's early opportunities abroad, or spearheading the tertiary educational trust of Kevon and Kesia, she led from the front and never shirked her responsibilities.
Like a mother hen, she was the consummate custodian, always present, always keeping abreast of her children's progress and offering advice throughout the process. This courtesy was later extended to her grandchildren as well.
Lorna, the lover of children.
Lorna, or Miss Lorna, as countless young people, including those from the nearby boys' home call her, possessed an amazing and admirable love for children, especially boys.
Indeed, her home was frequently overrun by youngsters from the neighborhood who benefited from her welcoming and generous spirit.
Her nephews, Andrew and Kimani, the Spencer boys, Mike Chaplin, AJ, Mrs. Chronicles boys, and Kareem Lawrence were prime examples of this.
She treated all children as her own. As one such beneficiary recently shared, Lorna had a knack for making even strangers feel welcome.
This hospitable quality would be magnified by the fact that she was a gifted cook and could literally rustle up a hot meal within minutes.
In fact, if you were to come to her home, the first thing that she would like to do would be to offer you a cup of tea.
Lorna, the loyal friend. If you were to meet her for the first time, you could be forgiven for thinking that Lorna was an unpleasant individual. She often wore a frown and seemingly had no time for a casual smile. Lorna's smile was truly expensive.
She would hardly be the one to initiate the conversation, but was socially equipped to engage in a lengthy conversation once she warmed to you.
So lurking behind this serious face was an affable soul who made friends quite easily, especially if your philosophy was aligned with hers.
In fact, we can recall her mother at one point accusing her of putting her friends above her family. Then you know some friend would have been a respectful response at that time.
The truth, however, is that growing up, Lorna had the tendency to spend significant amounts of time with her friends in the community, including Thelma Burnett, or Tatsy, as she was popularly known, and was quite a socialite and the center of attention if she was in the mood.
A standout facet of Lorna's disposition was her fierce loyalty. If her spirit take you, so to speak, she would defend you to the very end, especially if and when things got sticky on your side.
Even if a blind man could see that you were wrong, she would be unrelenting in defending you. In situations like these, and in a demonstration of her understanding of the human condition, a typical response of hers would be, after nobody not perfect.
In summary, Lorna was the person that we all need in our lives at some point or another, lending support and giving strength.
Lorna, the family matriarch. Maybe because she was the eldest daughter and lived at the family home, Lorna was the go-to person or liaison officer for all things family.
Relatives and others, especially those living abroad, would seek her out to get information, whether it be the date of an important event, how to go about a personal business in Jamaica, or how to get in touch with somebody.
Consistent with this acute sense of responsibility, Lorna was, however, merely filling the shoes of her mother when the latter went to join her husband at another location, thus bequeathing certain duties to her big daughter.
Lorna therefore became the de facto manager of the household from a very tender age, cooking, assigning chores, delegating responsibilities, and seeing to the overall effective running of the house.
In many respects, therefore, Lorna was the nucleus around which the entire family revolved. In this regard, she was also the fierce guardian of her family's heritage, reputation, and affairs, and nameless of her if she happened to hear you saying something negative about any family member.
Then, she would not hesitate to offer a piece of her mind without apology.
Lorna, the unique character. Lorna belongs to that unique group of individuals who picked themselves up ultra fast in her spirit. She is the only person I know who had the ability to either love or dislike you just seconds after meeting you.
She was a frank individual who found it hard to be hypocritical. She wore her emotions on her sleeves, and you knew precisely where you stood with her at all times.
In this respect, she often kept quiet while in the company of some people, choosing to keep her thoughts to herself rather than run the risk of saying something that she would later regret.
Few people knew that Lorna was a very talented dancer, but as is her nature, she was both unassuming and humble about it.
Younger family members would be privy to the latest dance moves when she returned home while working in Kingston. Even while dancing, however, she would wear a stern, business-like countenance. Lorna, the community stalwart. Perhaps reinforced by the nature of her work, Lorna was an authentic community person. She could be always counted on to lend support to bereaved families on the passing of a loved one. Whether it was at the wake, the funeral, or both, Lorna would be present representing her family.
Lorna was particularly loved and respected by the scores of boys who passed through the Mount Olivet boys' home over the years.
She looked out for them and often rewarded them with a little change. The boys therefore looked forward to carrying her bags for her when she returned from the market.
She endeared herself to them also because of the motherly figure that she represented. She treated them with respect, and this was tangibly reciprocated.
Lorna had a number of old phrases learned from older folks that she frequently used. You have to just swing lawyer was a favorite. Also, the arm of flesh will fail you. You dare not trust your own.
These are just some of the memories that we can recall in relation to our dear Lorna.
She was a mother, a mentor, a friend, the consummate professional, a talented individual, and a humble and unassuming individual.
May her soul rest in peace,
And light perpetual shine upon her.